Good evening, everybody. It's Michael and Julie again. And tonight on Solas Inspirational Chats, we have the wonderful Ciara Maeve Ní, who is the owner and editor of All In magazine, which is an international online magazine which we contribute to and is doing very well. She's also involved with lots of other things. She has her finger in many pies, and it's the second birthday of the magazine today. And we thought, what a day to celebrate. We'll have a glass of something for her afterwards. I'm sure she'll do the same.
We will, yes. So lovely to see you, Ciara Falsha. You might like to introduce yourself. And also, I believe we're saying happy birthday to President Trump. So the magazine is sharing a birthday with America's president. So you did good, girl.
Telling you, law breathe honna ditch for myself and for President Trump. Good job, good job. I think he'd
Absolutely.
appreciate that bit of Irish, wouldn't he?
I think so. Yes. Well, he's coming here in a few weeks' time, isn't he? Yes. So he will. He'll be thinking, my goodness, what did she say? I hope it was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you imagine now, just on the topic of the magazine, could you imagine if I managed to get an interview with Trump? Wouldn't that be class? Wouldn't that be a bit of crack?
Well, we could all retire.
I tell you. I think he'd especially like Keats articles.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Probably so. Yes, yes, indeed. Oh, yeah, no, the magazine, it offers something for everyone, as you say yourself.
It really does. Yeah, it's been such a great 2 years. First of all, celebrations because to get a publication that is to this magnitude, because it's such a big, I mean, last month's was 87 pages, and it's filled with juicy articles, with journalistic viewpoints, with, stuff that's been researched, with information that isn't readily available unless you're somebody who's into what you're actually writing about and talking about. And it gives all the readers, and we have entrepreneurs and we've philanthropists and we've creatives and we've artists and we've writers and we've healers. All these people are coming on board and reading. And I do think that that's a good representation of the fact that we have a very similar cohort of journalists writing. So there's a parallel that's constantly running between you guys because you're contributors and it's fantastic to get your viewpoints on things and your stories on things and your articles on things as well as everybody else's. And so I don't know, I just think we've got such a great mix for this magazine. And most importantly, it's completely uncensored. Nothing, I don't edit the story. I'm only ever editing grammar and punctuation to make sure that it's readable. And I really pride myself and the magazine on that because I think in today's world, you need to be able to have a voice. You need to be able to speak. You need to be able to say what you want to say. And if somebody pushes back against it, that's okay because that's what dialogue is for and conversation.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. And it's nice in that, as you say, we contribute and reading through the other contributors' articles and the viewpoints are so diverse. It's interesting and it's stuff that you wouldn't find in mainstream media or even in alternative media. So it is really good from that perspective.
Yes, and that's all a credit to you too, Ciara, because you're the one spearheading all of that. So, Gura Mila Mahagat, and we wish you many, many more years of the magazine.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And I was looking at what to do this month, as because it's the celebration of the 2 years. And each year I always want to do something that's going to elevate it a little bit more. And I thought this would be the perfect time to do the poetry competition. And I was actually in the hospital the other day with my sister, and she was going in to have something done with her hand. And I was waiting for her, and I was looking at a board in the hospital in Galway, and there was three poems on the board, and it really made me, I don't know, it just kind of connected a whole load of thing in my big old creative brain. And I thought, oh, this could be such a good shout for June's second year anniversary to do a poetry competition. I think I'll probably share the poem at some point because it's so poignant. It was beautiful, it was so well written, and they had the name on it, but they didn't say who the person was, where they'd come from. So it could have been a patient, it could have been somebody who's writing poems from the college. I don't know, but whoever it was brilliant. And so bringing that new element in for June and getting people's creative juices flowing and giving people an opportunity. And again, I said this earlier on, we have a WhatsApp group. And I said it earlier on in the WhatsApp group, and it's so important to recognize yourself when you're doing something creative. And I remember the first time I had a poem published in a poetry journal, which is global. And I remember crying. I sat at home when I got the email to say that my poem had been published, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is the best day ever. I've just had something recognized. So I want that for other people. You know, I want to be able to give that space so that people can come in and go, me too, me too.
Yeah.
So yeah, June is all about the poems.
Super, super duper. Well, we're going to put the details about the magazine and how people can access it and read it because it's wonderful. It's free in the details below. But we also know, Ciara, as Michael said, you have your fingers in many pies and you have many other interests, which may be of interest to our viewers if you'd like to share some of them now.
Love to, and thank you. So the reason I have my fingers in a lot of pies, and I realized this a while back, I don't know if you ever read the book A Millionaire Mind, right? It's T. Harv Eker. And one of the things he said in it was go back to the blueprint, you know, who raised you and the things that you heard. And he was asking a question about what your parents did. And I realized my dad had 6 different jobs. So no wonder I am a finger in many pie kind of person because I just following, you know, the monkey see, monkey do. But one of the other things that I do is the Mothership book, and that's been a few years now in operation. We're publishing book 3 as we speak, and it's slightly different. So book 1, we had 8 beautiful mothers come in and write. Book 2, we had 7 beautiful mothers come in and write. Book 3, so book 1 and 2 were done as normal books. But there's been a shift in books, I feel, recently, and there is a different way of doing things. And I want it to become a living, breathing thing. And so what came to my mind was annals, because if you think about the annals of Ireland or the annals and the wisdom that come in, I always see like a scroll that's coming down. So I decided that I'd do book 3, like the annals of mothering wisdom. And so far, 4 mothers have come in. There's a 5th on her way. And it's a beautiful space where mothers can come and share their stories. And often, what I feel and what I've listened to and spoken to different mothers, even if you have a partner in your life, a husband or a boyfriend or whatever it is, and you have kids, mothers tend to take the burden of the worry naturally. And it's not to put men in a different position, it isn't about men at all. It's about women and the way kind of we do things. And I often saw mothers not talking to each other in a way that was deep enough. So you hold on to all these worries and these feelings and these thoughts, and you don't say them to other people because you're afraid to be a burden or you're afraid that it might hurt somebody else. Equally and conversely, when you want to celebrate your kids, you don't want to talk about that either because what if the other parent is going through something terrible and you're out there saying that your kids are fabulous? There's an awful lot involved in mothering that sometimes feels like there's shame in there and there's blame and there's guilt and there's all kind of things. And I wanted to open a door. I wanted to say to the mothers that came in, let's go through this journey together. Let's talk, let's share, let's be part of something that's woven like a tapestry, like the annals. And every time the mothers have come in to the different groups, they've said how cathartic it is when they start to write, that stories are coming up from their past that they didn't realize. They're also having conversations with their own kids. And they're saying, you know, was I like this with you? And how do you feel about this? And is this how it actually happened? So it's so colorful and it's so beautiful. And I'm always inviting mothers to come in and write for it. And then I thought I'd do something slightly different. So I set up a writing community. And again, it's the Mothership writing community. So anybody who wants the opportunity to apply to come and write in the Mothership Annals gets to come into the writing community first. And then they get to kind of open up in that space and be who they really are. And then if they're right for the book, they get to move into that. So it's been a really interesting couple of months putting all of this last kind of piece together.
Excellent. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Well, we'll certainly put those details below. And can people still join then, Ciara, if there's some mothers tuning in who would have an interest?
Oh, absolutely.
Super.
So they can, yeah, they can absolutely join. Once you have the links up, they can come and they
Yeah,
can
we
go
will
through that.
do that. Yeah, wonderful. Mahu, as I think I said to you before with another podcast on Elaine, you are awesome. And can I also say thank you so much? As you know, we live in Arklow and there was Moonshore here who needed some money raised for her life-saving heart surgery. And phenomenally, the community have come together and it's happened. But I really appreciated the fact that you'd share that, because I felt 600,000 was a lot of money for one small community. So it needed to go outside Arklow. And Michael and I were very grateful that you very kindly took that campaign on board and shared it. So Gur Míle Maith for that. It is phenomenal, and we are quite in awe of the community and of people here. But I think that's what it's all about, people coming together and co-creating a better future through positive change. I think we're all on the same page there.
100%. And you're more than welcome. I would be of the same mind frame when somebody needs something. Isn't it so amazing, that feeling that you get when people row in behind you and they say, we've got you? You don't even know who 90% of these people are, but they've chosen to say, I'm going to help. And years ago, I created this thing called the Little Bag of Charity. And when I created it first, people used to say to me, well, do you want to use the word charity? Are you sure you want to use that word? And I looked into what the word means, and it's so beautiful. It's the voluntary act of giving help. That's the definition. And when I saw it, I thought, yeah, I absolutely want to use that word, because the stigma has been there for far too long around the word charity. The voluntary act of giving help, wherever we can do that, isn't that a beautiful thing to do? And I often find that sometimes a lot of people feel that they're pulled in multiple different directions to support things. But if you give your focus to one or two main things, you could be supporting that for life. And you'd never be so out of pocket that you'd feel, bad about your own situation. You'd just always be able to give. So when you sent that link forward, it felt completely normal and completely natural. And to see it then take legs and wings, and where it ended up going, and that it was done and dusted in not a long period of time, that's amazing. That's just amazing.
It is, and there's still events being run down here in Arklow,
Brilliant.
because they've achieved the 600,000. In fact, they're up to 629,000, I think, at this stage.
Wow.
Because obviously there will be costs for accommodation and other stuff like that. So people are still contributing. When we ran a pub quiz on one of the nights in Arklow, and I went to one of our local supermarkets, Pettit Supermarket in Arklow, and I spoke to the duty manager, and I said, look, and he said to me, Michael, he said, to be honest with you, he said, we've helped on numerous occasions, and we've given and we gave when this was on and when that was on, and it's all for the same for Emer. And I said, yeah, I said, but you didn't give me anything. And he just looked at me and he went, right, a couple of bottles of wine won't go amiss. And we walked into the off license and he said, which wines? And I said, can I pick the wines? And he went, no. He said, I'll give you a bottle of red and a bottle of white. But like, people were so generous. We had 28 prizes
for our raffle.
For our raffle.
For the pub quiz.
You
Yes,
know.
no, it was wonderful. As I said, it's phenomenal. And we really appreciate, especially because we have a healing centre, and we then realise, well, we're so in the right community where they give and give, because yes, this young teacher is going to get heart surgery and we believe it will save her life. So it's awe-inspiring.
Fantastic. No, it's so good. I loved that you went in, because if you don't ask, you don't get. It's that
Oh,
simple,
I know,
isn't it?
but I don't. The only person I take no from is Julie. So anyway.
I love that. And rightly so.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm going to leave now because yeah.
Yes. And I believe we will finish this public conversation now very shortly. But Ciara, thank you so much, Gur Míle Maith, for your time. Please give Josh a hug for us. We know that he's doing his leaving cert. Is he almost finished now?
Two left. He has P on Friday and tech on Monday, and the head is down and the focus is back. Big, massive gap between his last one on Friday and then this next one on Friday. So he's 7 days.
Yeah.
But look, he knows where he's going. He knows what he wants, and all he can do is your best. Isn't that the way?
Oh,
Absolutely,
that's
yeah.
all. Definitely. And sure, with a mother like you, such a role model, he can only succeed. So, Gur Míle Maith for your time.
Can I tell you something? I have to share this. I have to share this. And I'm going to do it publicly because I just think it's the coolest thing ever. So I obviously, I love the very ground my child walks on. I think he's incredible. And he came into me the other day and we were talking about the magazine, and it's not normally something that comes up. I tell him, when I launch each month when it's published. And he just arrived into my bedroom to me and he said, Mum, I think I'm going to want to take over the magazine.
Oh,
And I went, excuse me? And he said, yeah, he said, but I want to make it my own. I said, that's fine. All I heard was you want to take over the magazine. Now, obviously, hopefully it's down the line when I'm, ancient and an old wizened mariner. But imagine hearing your kid say that. Doesn't it just
yeah,
Oh,
warm the cockles of your heart?
you
yeah,
see, you're doing such a great job. That's
yeah.
fantastic. And thank you for
I'll
sharing
take it.
that.
Thanks.
Anyway, thank you for your time this evening. And
Thanks for
really
your time.
appreciate you pulling yourself away from the celebrations.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And as Julie said, all the details will be below, and people can get in touch with you about the magazine, about the mothership, and about your writing community. And we look forward to, I believe we may be seeing you sometime soon in person, which will be great
Yes.
because it's been on Zooms and whatever for the last couple of years, as you know. But look, it's wonderful to connect with like-minded people. It really is. Thank you.
It is, yes. Slán agus Bannet, Ciara.
Talk to you soon. Take care. Slán.
Take care.